Good evening, everybody. This will be my first run at this, so bear with me. The first thing on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next would be the MSBA monthly report.
Welcome to the December edition of the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report. We begin with a look at MSBA's third AI Symposium held in October in Kansas City, just prior to the 2025 MSBA Annual Conference. MSBA's Director of Digital Initiatives, Mark Henderson, planned the symposium, and he says that with a topic as broad as AI, the symposium needed to be designed for a broad audience.
The AI Symposium, we had our third one in October, and it really was about getting people together, getting minds together of folks from all around Missouri, school board members, superintendents, all kinds of district staff to really explore the broad topics of AI. You know, it's a very positive environment, looking at ways that districts are really harnessing it with their teachers, with their students, looking at ways it's being used responsibly, addressing some of the concerns as well. But, you know, it's such a broad topic. Every year we try to address more and more.
In addition to the symposium, MSBA offers many ways to help school districts and staff in their implementation of AI, regardless of where a district is in its journey.
A lot of people feel guilty. They say we're not as far along as we should be. And I always say the fact that you're talking about it is good. You know, obviously the best time to start was 3 years ago, but realistically, most people couldn't do that. So MSBA is here to help you. We've been doing this work for 3 years now. You know, we've got an AI policy. We just put out a new version of it based on feedback that we received from districts. We've got our free AI toolkit. We do AI training, webinars, things like that. We try to stay on the pulse of what schools really need to know about AI. That way they don't have to worry about it themselves.
The symposium's lunch session consisted of an outstanding student panel. Attendees had a chance to hear from students and understand how they use and view AI. Callie of Holden High School says that AI is here to stay and will be an integral part of their future education and careers.
It's inevitable. It's going to be in every job. It's going to be in the world. It's everywhere around us in our everyday lives. If we ban it in schools, if we're not allowed to use it, we are going to fall behind. We need to use it as a tool to advance our world because it is the future.
Mark collaborated with Catherine Hairston of MSBA's Leadership Development Team to create a document specifically for school board members to help them identify questions to ask in their districts about AI.
And we developed a list of governance level questions about AI that school board members can ask so that they don't have to be in the weeds. They also don't have to know everything there is to know about AI, but they can be sure that their district's on the right track. And that document's available for free on our website, mosba.org/AI.
Speaking of Catherine Hairston, she is conducting the first statewide research study focused entirely on board president leadership in Missouri. Board presidents carry an enormous responsibility, guiding their board, partnering with the superintendent, and helping set the course for an entire school district. Yet, there is no current leadership framework or guidance for that role. To create these resources, Catherine says she needs your help. There's a brief survey for all board members and superintendents that will ultimately help create resources for board presidents to lead confidently, collaboratively, and effectively.
So the survey is trying to figure out what should board leadership look like? What should board president leadership look like? And I've tried to create a 360 evaluation where board presidents rate themselves on how good of a leader they think they are. But then I need board members to go in and take the survey to think about their board president and how good are they at these things. And then I also really need superintendents to give that third level of insight into, what do they need from their board president? Because that's their boss. It's one of their bosses. And so what do they need in terms of leadership from their board president as well. And so that's why I'm really trying to get board presidents, board members, and superintendents. I want to create this whole 360 image of what does a board president do, and how do they lead this governance team.
Catherine says that the information from the survey and her research can ultimately benefit the entire governance team.
So I'm really hoping the results of this survey lead to an actual framework to train board presidents, support board presidents, help boards understand what they should be looking at when they decide to appoint their board president. What kind of leadership qualities does your board president need to have to be successful? And really making something that is so gray more black and white and easily attainable for people.
Catherine says that a research study like this truly is the first of its kind and is greatly needed.
So we know that being a board member and a board president is unbelievably difficult. And so that's why we have new board member training, so that board members know what they should be doing, but we need board president training so that board presidents know what they should be doing as well. And so that's the whole goal of this. And the fact that it really doesn't exist in other states really could make Missouri the first to really build this out and then begin to support other states throughout the country, which is really exciting.
Use this QR code to access the survey. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thank you for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and we'll see you in January of 2026 for the next MSBA Board Report.
Next be the consent agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
First and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next we have the report of the superintendent.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Good to see you all again. First up on my report is the annual school board election. We have 3 terms expiring: Mr. Eric Bosler, Mr. Jim Kirchner, and Mrs. Martha Riesinger. The school board election will be on Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, and the filing location is District Office, 375 North 5th Street, St. Genevieve. Filing dates: filing opened on December 9th, and it will end on December 30th. It will not occur on December 25th and 26th, and any days that we're off for inclement weather. Hopefully we won't have any between now and then. Next on my report is kindergarten registration. Just another reminder from last month, same information. St. Genevieve Elementary School, Saturday, March 14th from 8 to 2. Bloomsdale Elementary School, Saturday, March 21st from 8 to 1. Appointments will be accepted beginning Monday, February 9th. Up next is principal's reports. Dr. Kelly.
Good evening. Merry Christmas. I feel like we've done nothing but celebrate the holidays since the last time I was here. It's all been fun. I know it's already December, but let's not forget what we've done at the end of November. So we had our first Parents as Teachers group connection here at the center where we opened it to the community. PAT families could come, but we also invited our preschool families and anybody in the community that wanted to come join us. They had a nice snack and did Thanksgiving crafts, and the children had some time to explore the multi-purpose room, and parents could engage and kind of form new relationships. So that was a really fun evening for our Parents as Teachers program. Next, we celebrated our first Thanksgiving here at the Early Childhood Center. So we very quickly and with all hands on deck moved all of our tables and chairs to the main hallway, and everybody that was enrolled in our full day preschool program enjoyed their nice turkey and dressing meal that Miss Patty made us. We turned all the cute little chocolate pies into turkeys, and the kiddos got to enjoy their first Thanksgiving feast together, and of course, you know, they dressed the part too. So that was really fun. We were hoping this is kind of our guinea pig year. Maybe next year you guys can come join us for lunch. We weren't quite ready to add extra guests to the table this year, but it went really, really well. So next year we're hoping we can have some visitors come join us for our Thanksgiving meal. But you can see we've got a thumbs up there from Jack. The food was always fabulous. So big thank you to our kitchen. We have just Patty over here, but I know on main campus they work really hard to prepare that meal. So we're very thankful for that. And then in December, like I said, it's just been nothing nothing but celebrating. We've participated in all the district days, so we've had PJs and jingle bells and glitters. We got to experience a little bit of snow on the playground for the first time this year. We have a door decorating competition, just lots and lots of fun ways to incorporate gingerbread and all of the fun things while we're learning and exploring. The Grinch was here today. Some of the kids liked it, some of the kids did not. We have Santa coming up this week, as well as a Polar Express Day. So it's just been lots of fun incorporating all of that into our learning activities. Lots of Brag and Dragons. Our Brag and Dragons are, for a while, they were mainly focused on kind of behavioral expectations and meeting our goals with showing kindness, following those class commitments. We've kind of expanded it a little bit. We have some kiddos setting goals with like colors or shapes, letter ID, whatever academic goal they're working on. So some of these are academic-based goals that they've met and are bragging worthy, and some of them are behavioral goals they have. Ezekiel Albertson, Deacon Amschler, Jet Bales, Phoebe Barnett, Eleanor Barr had 2, Ryder Davis, Lucy Elders, Lindley Fleet, Artemis Green had 2, Brody Herzog, Kira Hewlett 2, Addison Howell, Ridge Huff, Jada Johnson, Lainey Jokers, Jordan McNeil, Montgomery Moon, Ainsley Reed, Harley Ripple, Andrew Rose, Colt Ritter had 2, Audrey Rowland had 2, Christian Smith, Ollie Stoll, Billy Todd, Corbin Trollinger, Sutton Weeberry, Lux Wilkes, and Gracie Wright. So congrats to all those little dragons that have done something that was bragging worthy. And then our December faculty and staff of the month is Miss Alina Vader. Alina is one of our paraprofessionals here at the center. And when I say that she is all over the place, she really is. She's what we call our floater. So she makes sure everybody gets their break, everybody gets their lunch. When we're short on subs, she's getting moved around to cover wherever I need her to cover, and she does it with a smile. Like, she's just, okay, Miss Bethany. So some of the things that her team said about her, she's a great team member, willing to work extended hours and help anywhere she is needed. The students love Miss Alina. She's a lady on a mission, working in all the classrooms, always has a smile on her face, someone you can count on, and just a jolly attitude. Her schedule's a little different than everybody else. She actually comes in at 9 to help start covering those needs, and then she always stays late and helps with our aftercare. But there are many mornings that I call her or text her at 5 a.m. and say, I don't have a sub, can you come in at 7:45? Yep, I'll be there, and sure enough, she is. So especially here with the sicknesses and stuff that we've had, Alina has just been phenomenal this month. So congratulations to Miss Alina Baker. Okay.
Good evening. Okay, so like Dr. Penning said, we don't want to forget about the end of November. It seems like it's been so long ago, but at the end of November, we had our grades 3 through 5 family fun night, and right there in the middle and the bottom are some few pictures that I captured from that. The 3rd through 5th grade teachers, they worked really hard to create some more inviting activities for the students, because to get our grades 3 through 5 families to come in, you have to really have a draw to make them give up their evenings, especially at this time of year when it gets dark, and then they have to get back out. So they put their minds together and they worked really hard, and they did escape rooms. They did a Starbucks, like a book cafe. This one right here is kind of hard to see, but the 5th grade teachers had the kids do book talks, record themselves and make videos, and then present the book talks, but then also had we had the disposable little earphones that everybody could listen to. So they really took it to the next level. In the middle there, like, they bought the ingredients, but the students did the work to make the Starbucks pink drink. So the kids did all the measuring, and so they just tried to make it more inviting and more fun. And while this one isn't attended as well as the K2 one, we were actually up about 50 people this year. So that was good to see, especially this late in the school year. And then up on the top, we have some Balloons Over Broadway parade pics. In 5th grade, they always read the Balloons Over Broadway book about the Macy's parade and how it began. And then so the kids, they get to design their balloons. They say what supplies they need. The teachers provide them with the supplies. And then they literally are constructing these balloons like moments before they go down and line up for the parade. So it is all hands on deck, and I just picked a few, but there's a lot of creativity that goes into these balloons, so just wanted to share that. On the left, the two pictures on the left, I just wanted to give a shout out to Coach Kreitler. Like, you guys know Coach Kreitler is amazing, but he brought back the Bring a Parent to PE for 5th grade. So the beginning of December, we had one glitch with a snow day in there. We had to reschedule that one, but the 5th grade students were able to invite a parent or a special adult to come in and participate. And I was really only able to get one picture, and it was of Mr. Greither standing there when he was out, because they were running around and I couldn't get the camera, and I almost got hit a couple times, so I was like, this is good enough, I'm out. And then down at the bottom, I went in to do an evaluation on Coach last week. Mind you, it's December, it's right before the holiday. It's kindergarten, and I walk in there and he's giving every kid a hockey stick. And I thought, oh, this could be really bad. But it was so controlled and it was so organized. He was teaching them how to properly shoot a puck. I'm sorry, I don't know this young man's name, but he's a high school student that comes down. Do you recognize him? He comes down and he helps. So he was working with the girls. Coach had the boys on the other end. They were teaching them how to properly shoot the puck, and then they actually got in goal and they were trying to block them, and it was so awesome and so organized. At the top, we have, those were our top 10 sellers for our fundraiser, and we bought them like a McDonald's Happy Meal for being our top 10 sellers for the fundraiser, so we enjoyed that. And then over on the right, we finally received our Big Teacher Night check. It was over $1,000. It was really amazing. It was the highest one we've had yet. So we grabbed a couple of kiddos to take that picture with us. We just really thank McDonald's for giving us that opportunity and partnering with us, because we really don't have to do a lot of work anymore. We wipe a few tables, we talk to our families, we sweep a few floors, and the money comes back to us, so that's really great. And then I couldn't get them all to fit. They're almost all in there, but that's our kindergarten music program from last week. Mrs. Bowman and Mr. Friedmeier were able to do the kindergarten music program. The 1st grade one is actually rescheduled for tonight, so our 1st graders are performing tonight.
Alex Bosler.
Alex Bosler, okay. So he was really, really good with those kids. It was like having a second adult in there. This was just all things Christmas. On the right, I'll start there. We had our Dancing Dragons Christmas performance. We just had it this past Friday. They all put on their little Christmas pajamas and took a group pic there at the end. Up at the top right, these ladies, they put more into this than just a quick little performance. They have skits, and you have to decorate kids up like Christmas trees, and this picture was just too precious not to share. This is Mrs. Roth, and if you could zoom in and see her face, she's like, yes. And she's actually got air. She's off the ground there. So that was great, and just wanted to share the hard work that Mrs. Keeker and Ms. Wibbenmeyer put in with these kiddos. And then on the left, to continue bragging on Ms. Roth, I walked into her classroom, and they've got mason jars set up, and there's crystals, and there's borax, and like they're doing experiments. They were making these candy cane crystal ornaments, and the kids were showing us the finished product, and they said, Sarah, you never share this stuff with me. So she hurried up and put it together, because I just wanted to brag on her that, it's Christmas time, and we're doing Christmas things that our teachers are still teaching. So great opportunity. And we have some positive office referrals. Adeline Geck, Autumn Albertson, Bruce Weathers, and Carter Mueller. On the bottom row, Kendall Scoggin, Micaiah Emery, Ruby Wibbenmeyer, and Dana Albertson. And then finally, our featured teacher and super staff of the month. Our featured teacher was Miss Bailey Macklin, and kind of just to summarize a few things about Bailey, she's a bright light at SGE, she's a breath of fresh air. She may be doing 1,000,001 things, but she will stop whatever she needs to do to help someone that needs help. She pushes every child to be their best, whether they are in her class or not. She genuinely loves her students and colleagues. She brings so much joy into every day, and she's great to be around. She has a great attitude. Just all things about Bailey. If you've ever been around Bailey, you can't have a bad day around Bailey. She is always in a good mood. And then our super staff is our new daytime custodian, Miss Jenna Kellogg. She's doing a great job. Says she's doing a fabulous job adjusting to her role as a custodian. She's always cheerful, polite, and a smile on her face. She handles so much radio traffic in a timely manner. She keeps the cafeteria clean as well as attending to everything else on her plate. And we thanked her for her hard work and dedication. So that's it for St. John Elementary. I'm gonna stay up here. Mr. Kingery is out tonight. He has a sick kiddo, and he's at home with the sick kiddo while the other one is at the music program. And he wanted to make sure that I told you he was responsible for doing this in Canva. He said the one night I step up my game and I don't even get to be here to present. So this is all Mr. Kingery's work. I'm just presenting it. Bloomsdale Elementary.
You don't want to read the rest of it?
Oh, the greatest little school on earth. This is all. And he even made me notes, and they're very large. He knows me well. So slide 1. The first 2 pictures are from Thanksgiving. Picture 1 is of our kindergarten students showing off balloons they made for their Thanksgiving balloon parade. The second picture is of the first graders gathered at the communal Thanksgiving meal. Students shared in all kinds of Thanksgiving goodies, but were especially fond of the pie. And then the third picture is from the 3rd grade Christmas musical held at the PAC called The Greatest Snowman. We held our 3rd and 1st grade concerts last week, and we had an awesome turnout, and the kids' performances were phenomenal. All right, slide 2. Photo 1 is of our 4th and 5th grade students having a Q&A with Representative Bryant Wolfman. We had an excellent visit, and he had a great time reminiscing about all of his time at BLE. The middle photo is from an activity in PE, which students earned blocks for making baskets. Then they used the blocks to construct the tallest tower. It was a very cool activity that allowed students to use their skills ranging from athletics to engineering. And then the third photo is a drop-in visit from the SGMS carolers, and they graced our team with a lovely carol and a plate of delicious cookies. All right, photo 1 is from the November food drive. They collected 2 full truckloads of food, for the St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry at St. Agnes. Photos 2 and 3 are the young entrepreneurs at the Entrepreneurial Fair. BLE students sold baked goods, custom signs, hats, and a variety of other classy wares. Okay, so there are quite a few positive office referrals for Bloomsdale Elementary. Tanner Karen, Zachariah Blagorn, Liam Abishan, Logan Schutz, Everly Pelfrey, Crosby Wolf, Jaden Payne, Waylon Keene, Chloe Craig, Jackson Causey, Macy Mental, and Zane Carnes. We can just go to the next slide. All right, so they have their 2 people. I don't know exactly what they call their people there, but Bria Harmon was chosen. The school could hardly function without her. From the beginning of the year, Bria has made sure to do day-to-day operations run smoothly and takes care of everyone's needs. She is the definition of a team player. And then on the right, we have Paige Nagger. Paige goes above and beyond for her 4th graders. She is focused on her students and their growth, which sets standards for success in and out of the school, and her students love her, and she connects with them on a very personal level every day. And that's Bloomsdale Elementary.
Good evening, friends. I'm going to continue my tradition of providing you with a Christmas video for my December notes. I hope you'll enjoy, and Merry Christmas.
short and sweet for me tonight, but I do have Bree with me this evening, and we were going around the room at our PAG meeting a couple weeks ago, and we were starting to plan for the December meeting, and I started talking to students. Everybody kind of looked at me and was like, I'm out. I've got wrestling, I've got basketball, I've got to work, and so Bree was the winner this evening and said that I can be there, and so she put together the presentation for us this evening. I absolutely love that process because it's a collaborative process between me and that student, and so Bree says, hey, I need this or I need that, and we email back and forth, and it's just a really neat opportunity for her to have some engagement with our school and be able to have a voice, and also to say, these are the things that I want to showcase. Do you have pictures of this? Or these are the things that I really want to talk about. Something that I know she's going to hit on that I do want to just briefly mention, we had our very first Lunch and Learn, and so one of the things that we've worked really hard is expanding student voice in the high school, and we just polled our students and said, who wants to be a part of this? Who has some ideas of ways that they want to have an impact on their school? And we brought those 7 students in. We met over lunch. We had pizza, and we just listened to the ideas that they brought to the table. Our PAG answered questions. I was able to answer questions, and it was just really neat to see that student voice piece expanded beyond just our principal's advisory group and giving more students an opportunity to be able to share. And I'll let Bree talk a little bit about that process and what that looked like from a student standpoint. The other thing that I want to share is we've been going around as we start to prepare for graduation, and I had a lot of teachers when we started bringing around our invitations that we have our students write about individuals that made an impact on them. When we started bringing them around, teachers were like, oh my goodness, are we already talking about graduation? That's the preparation that goes into that. And it's really neat for me as the high school principal to have our students do those heartfelt messages and those invitations that go around to our faculty and staff. It reminds them of their purpose and why they do what they do every single day. And it also trickles down into the elementary buildings. And so Mr. Kingery's not here today, but we're going to go pay Bloomsdale Elementary a visit tomorrow and share those with them, encouraging those individuals to come and walk at graduation. Some of them refer to that as my sales pitch to get them and come and participate at graduation. Some of them say, how can I say no to that? And that's exactly what we want. But that's such a meaningful time for me and something that I genuinely enjoy. And I go around and I get an opportunity to do that with Mr. Toombs. And I know that is something that he looks forward to every single year. We sit down with the students and we work with them, but we also take an opportunity to be able to go around and share that and spread that good news right before Christmas time. I feel like the timing of that is perfect. And it also gives us an opportunity to be able to promote graduation and get more people participating in that. So really, really cool moment. Bree can kind of talk about that process a little bit too if you want to as well. So Bree Floth is going to take over for the high school principal's report. Merry Christmas to all of you guys.
Merry Christmas.
Good evening. Good evening. First off, we have our positive office referrals. We have Joseph Rottler, Barrett Bowers, Ethan Boyer, Anna Fisher, Julian O'Neill, Kara Gibson, Chase Yanis, Gunnar Amston got 2, Kimberly Banderas, Zachary Nagger, David Hutchins, Audrey Willie, Parker Meyer, Alexia Wolf, Evan Fraser, and Tucker Beach. And then our sophomores. They had a good game, or a great game against West County this past week, and their district tournament is at Hill Central. Our Special Olympics just had a bowling meet, and they had a really good time at that, and a few of them came away with medals. Our speech and debate team is doing really, really well. They traveled to at least 4 different places, and most of our team placed in all of them. Boys basketball, they're currently 3-1. This is not counting Friday's game. They're currently 3-1. They finished 3rd in the DeSoto Fountain City Classic. Their only loss is to an undefeated Sexton team, and their district tournament is at Potosi. Our Emeralds had their first performance on Friday at the Valley St. John game. They have 10 girls on their team. Our jazz band just went and visited Farmington at their jazz band concert. And then girls wrestling finished first at Pleasant Hills tournament out of 18 teams. They beat Park Hills and Festus Singles, and their district tournament is at DeSoto. Our boys wrestling finished 2nd at the Pleasant Hills tournament out of 20 teams. They beat Park Hills and Festus Singles as well, and their district tournament is at home. And then choir, 2 of our singers received All-State, Lucy Hunsley and Tegan Grapes. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. McCormick talked about standardized testing.
All right. All right. Okay, well, that's loading. There we go. We have data to go back and do kind of our annual ACT APR map review. So I'll jump into it. I'll remind you about the waiver in the middle of it. So let's get started. So ACT test data, there's some historical data there for you. Our district's in green and the state's next to it on the right. You can see that our percentage is still higher than the percentage testing in the states. You'll remember that we're not requiring every student to take the ACT anymore. We're allowing some of the ones that would take advantage of work keys and be able to use that information over ACT to take that test instead of ACT.
And we're going to use the AccuPlacer some this year as well. We've got more students that are looking at going to junior colleges or tech or trade schools, and they are now wanting more of an AccuPlacer score as opposed to the work keys. So we're looking at transitioning to that area to help and benefit more of our kids.
And as we move forward, something interesting to note is ACT has taken the science portion out of it, and it's optional to take the science. So we are still signing up for the science portion in case if students want to go into the medical field or something like that, they'll probably need that particular domain. This is just a graph representing our percentage. We're in the blackish, greenish line. So we're above the state average. Our ACT scores fluctuate a little bit because of the amount of students that take it, and one high score can elevate it, one low score can kind of pull it down, but we're at 19, 19.9, we're in that range pretty consistently. And so our APR data, you may have heard several people across the state talking about the APR. This is kind of the hot topic, I think, around the state and even with the State Board of Education. As a reminder, the APR is based off of last year's data, and it was just recently released. So a couple things to remember is, especially the red piece of the note here, it's one of many data points for stakeholders. I think a lot of people want to point to the APR and say, well, now let's rank the schools, or let's see how well our schools are doing. But you know, just from all the presentations that were done in front of you, it's more than just a couple test scores that make a school. And so I think that's something that our district embraces. Yes, we want our students to succeed on the state test, but we also want them to succeed in all other areas of their school. The innovation waiver, as I mentioned, we did succeed in getting that. That's a 3-year waiver, and it ends through this year. It exempts us from the status classification, or kind of hold harmless, if you will. But we still are assigned to APR because of federal regulations, and so it's kind of a weird waiver because while we have a waiver, we're still getting to APR data. The innovation waiver, I do think it's important to point out key factors in this innovation waiver and why we set out to get it, especially those top 4 bullets. If you look at those are consistent themes that we've talked about over the last 4 years, essentially. Providing that timely feedback and looking to participate in ways to get the information and actually use that data is something that our district and our teachers are really interested in. We also want to make sure that our students are part of the conversations. You heard that with the high school, with them talking about, well, we want our students' input. You also heard that all the way down to pre-K, where they're talking about goal setting even at 3-4 years old, saying, well, I want to do better at this, I think I can do it, and they're setting that goal and they're working towards it. And so when you have a little bit more ownership behind what you're learning, you're more likely to put in the effort and go the extra mile to get it. So MSIP 6, this is the first year that we'll have the initial classification. Again, we have the waiver, so we'll stay at the classification we are, which is the same, accredited. So either way, we're in good shape, but this is the first year districts are getting that 3-year timeline. So it's based on 2 different areas. It's your performance standards, which accounts for 70% of the score, and 30% comes from continuous improvement standards. Sometimes these names and titles are a little bit misleading, and I think growth will be an example as we get into it. So as we look at how MSIP 6 performance is broken down, 24% of that comes from student achievement, and so those scores are your MAP scores or your EOC scores. And through that, there's a sub, you can see under the 24%. 16% comes from your total population, and then 8% comes from your student groups. And so they use student groups such as free and reduced, different ethnicities or races, and ELL, students with disabilities. So those are your student groups. You need 30 in each cell or group to be able to kind of count that as a group. So if there's something less than that, then they call it identifiable, so they don't use that particular score. Growth achievement, this is the one, and you'll see it in our scores too, this is the one that is very unpredictable for schools. And when you ask the authors of the formula to calculate growth, they will tell you, well, you have to wait until the scores are produced so they can tell you what the growth score should be. And so that's a source of contention. When growth was first put in, school districts were very excited because they wanted to be rewarded for the amount of work their teachers are putting in and the amount of growth that students are showing. But unfortunately, the way the growth is calculated, they're using predictor scores. They're coming up with a Z-score and then saying, based on your previous tests, and sometimes those tests aren't even in the same field. An example would be like high school social studies. They're taking tests from, I believe, math and maybe science and saying, okay, you performed on this, so we think you should score this in social studies. Now, if you talk to the people that came up with it, they'll say it's statistically sound and it works, but they're comparing that to other students that scored where you scored the year before and saying, based on what they scored, you should score here. And so it's almost like a ranking system with the guise of the name growth. It's really meant to figure out who's the bottom, I think, 6%. And so it's broken down again by 16 and 8%. Success Ready students, it's not the Success Ready student network. This is your input, and you'll see it again on the other slides. So It's broken up into two different areas. So Success Ready Students is an input measure it's an output measure under performance. And that is your college career assessments. Dr. Boyd kind of mentioned one of them. You've got your ACT, your SAT, your ASVAB, AccuPlacer, and ACT work keys. And students can earn different point values, and those point values are calculated to determine did you get a certain percentage of those points available. The other piece of Success Ready is participation in advanced academics and career-oriented experiences. So what that is basically dual credit, your APs, I went blank on it, your credentials from like going down to Perryville and getting those as well. Under continuous improvement, so under continuous improvement, that accounts for 30%. Success Ready is still in there, but this is the input measure, so they're calculating your attendance, ICAP. If you remember one year people didn't enter data correctly and they lost out on the ICAP points, Lori was able to make sure we got all of ours, even the first year. Kindergarten readiness, that's a part of that Success Ready as well. And then required documents is our audit, ASBR, MOSIS, core data, some of those compliance documents that need to be turned in. And so here's the timeline of APR scoring. This will be the first time that we're at 200 points, and we'll continue on with that amount of points until MSIP 7 comes out and something has changed. So this is the first time that you're seeing the full points. I believe the change for this year is that it went up by 8 with response to standards. So school districts had to respond to certain standards and talk about how are we addressing these standards as a school district. So, this is our report. Performance, as you remember, is 70% of your score. I did highlight our academic achievement and growth. We achieved 31% of that score, but like I said, it's unpredictable until you get the scores. You can dig into the data and kind of look at the Z-scores and try to look at it. The way we've been addressing it, and when schools have gotten their MAP scores back, and our teachers have been doing this, is they're looking at the item analysis and saying, okay, based as a whole, where do we fall short? Is it constructive response? Is it this particular standard? And let's make adjustments in the way that we're teaching it. They're also tracking student progress through NWEA, iReady, and this is part of the reason why we want that through-year assessment, so we can kind of see, are we on track for making at least a year's growth or more if we're behind? And so overall, we achieved 92 out of 140 points for our performance. Under continuous improvements, we like this slide. It is 100%, 60 out of 60. But again, that's only 30% of your score. So that performance score definitely weighs a little bit heavier. So overall, we scored a 76% on APR. To kind of frame that over the last 4 years, we've kind of gone up and down, and we're at 76. If you frame that against the state, that still puts us on the top end of the state. It still puts us in accredited status. The blue is the most recent. This is a distribution of all the school districts initially. I think this distribution has changed since some people have corrected some of their APR scores, but we're still on that top end of it. So part of that APR, like we said, is your state testing. So under state testing, what they do is they calculate your MPI by converting the skill score to performance index, and that will be on the next slide. But basically, they take that score of all the students, they add them all up, They divide them by how many students they added up, and then they multiply it by 100, and that will give you your MPI score. So it's basically converting it into a standardized number so they can compare all of your students. So if you look at this little chart here, for instance, ELA, if you're on track, you're anywhere from 381 to 399, and then if you hit target, you're 400 to 500 MPI. Your student groups vary in MPI, but the status of your overall performance is pretty consistent, but even those change a little bit in the range. If you look at like the top end of approaching and the bottom end of on track, those numbers are a little bit different from math to science to social studies. So it's not necessarily a standardized, these are the frames that you're trying to hit. So you gotta kind of come back to the chart. And why this is important is there's not a 10 point, there's not an 11 points. So if you hit 399.8, you're getting 9 out of 12 points. You're not getting 11 out of 12 points. And so that is also, as we go through some of our MPI and you look at our numbers where we're really close to 399, that's where we're getting 75% instead of 100%. It's an all or nothing kind of a system. So the state is on top, we're on the bottom. So this is our elementary ELA. I think we're 18 points away from full points in 3rd grade, and we're performing above state in all categories, I believe. And then lost where I'm at. In middle school, we range anywhere from 18 to just 3.7 away from full points, and we're performing at or above state as well. My scales, this is where they say you can make data say anything. I probably should have zoomed in on my scales so you could see the difference in us in the state. But when you're dealing with 400, being up by 20 doesn't look like a lot on a bar graph. Mathematics, 3rd through 5th. Again, we're really close to getting our full APR points. I think we're 3 away, and then we're well above the state. In 6 through 8, we are, I think, 5 away from getting our full points, and then we are well above state as well. Algebra at EOC, they are down a little bit compared to the state, but I will tell you that if you go in and you watch the algebra teachers, they're doing great work. They're working with the students. They just rewrote curriculum. They've adjusted some of that based off of data that they receive. When they receive the data, they're getting in there and they're disaggregating it, and they're kind of digging into where can we improve. And so they're constantly working, and sometimes it depends on the group of students that you have. Like we said with the ACT, sometimes you'll see a little bit of a fluctuation. Science. So our district is well above the state in science. 5th grade. And then there's 8th grade. We're well above in 8th grade as well. And then in biology, we're right there keeping up with them as well. I will say curriculum writing happens for science this summer. So one of the things we do in curriculum writing is they're looking at the data before they come in to kind of get an idea of, hey, I need to make an adjustment. I need to make this unit longer, or we need to dig into this topic a little bit more. So these are conversations that are constantly happening. It's not just, okay, after the board meeting, we're going to adjust this. It's a continuous process. Social studies. This is one where I talked to one of the social studies teachers. I think they're usually the first ones in Dr. Boyd's office asking for the data and saying, okay, where do we stand? I think we've got a chance. And in talking to one, it's interesting because he was showing me some of the sample questions. And if you miss question 1, you're missing question 2 because based on question 1's answer, how did you know? Well, if you didn't know, now you're missing that one. The other piece of it is balancing the content versus the way questions are asked. So some of this is test-taking skills. What 2 examples do I need to pull from the reading to support my answer, not necessarily, I know about the Constitution, here's me, I'm telling you about the Constitution. So it's a balance of not just, I know social studies facts and I know the reasons why things happen. It's also having some of those other skills that we're getting from other departments and saying, okay, well, how do I support my answer, or how do I think through a critical problem? How do I use analogies? All of those are pieces of this EOC government test. And then again, wanted to remind you that we do have our data dashboard, because part of what we consider success is not just these scores. I want you to kind of reflect back on when you, in the last job you worked or your current job, how many employers asked you what your ACT score was, or your MMAT, if those of you took that, or your math score. That wasn't really a question that was asked when you were hired. It was more, how do you work with people? How do you solve a problem? What do you do when something's hard? Those are some of the skills that we want to make sure we instill in our students as well. We want to give them the opportunity to build some of those durable skills along with the knowledge. And yes, the content knowledge is important. Can't apply knowledge that you don't have. So that's the baseline, but we also want them to be able to use it and use it in new contexts, just like MSBA talked about. The world's changing and it's inevitable. So how are you going to enter a world that doesn't exist yet? And then I believe that is not the end. Graduation rate. We are the greenish blackish color there. So you can see that we had a really good graduation rate last year. And it's on an upward trend. Our 5-year is above the state as well. And then to leave you with this quote, it's kind of to reiterate what we're talking about. Assessment is a powerful tool, but it should be used to maximize learning. And so as we're using that assessment, we should be using that to provide feedback for students and feedback for teachers to make adjustments and determine what is our impact, what should we do to make adjustments to make our instruction even that much better. And that's really the point of us going for this waiver. The next step is to, I won't get too deep into the woods, but the next step is to pursue a pilot through the state and through SRSN. We submitted, there's only 100 students that will do the small pilot this year. And we submitted, and I think we've got a good opportunity to participate in that. So we submitted one name for a 4th grade teacher to participate so they can get feedback. The next year it will be, I believe, 1,000 students in 4th and 5th. And then the next year would be 10 to 15,000. And then after that, they're hoping to scale it up for the whole state and then maybe grow from there. But if you look at what the state board is recommending, there's a lot of uncertainty because the state board has now shifted in who they are. The ones that originally gave the waiver, it's not the same state board. So now they're talking about, we want to change this whole system to a report card, and we want a certain percentage of schools to have X. And so that doesn't really correlate with our thought that with the right instruction, every kid, every school can be successful. We don't have to have failing schools. And so I think it's important also to do what we've done with our representatives and get input as well, like saying we are successful and here's all the ways that we think we are, and we want you to measure us in those particular areas as well. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but for people that may not know that, where we may be a little lower for the graduation rate, it could be because they moved out of town or they moved away or anything. It's not just because they failed or something like that.
Correct.
So there's different ways.
Yeah, and I think our district has done a really good job of supporting students that are maybe struggling and getting either credit recovery or finding alternate paths to get them the credit and make sure that they're successful in the next steps. And they've done a good job of connecting them with, well, what do you want to do after you leave high school? Well, let's start focusing on some of that as well. So.
Thank you for presenting it in a very easy to understand.
You're welcome.
unfinished business. Rob, SG updates.
I feel like we should be building more things. So we're having 4 projects down to having 1 project in 3 pictures. You can see the wrestling facility is coming along nicely. They're putting some walls on the back end of it. The wall in the front of it going to the parking lot in the back of the pack is complete. We're getting ready. Mike's working with them on getting some railing up there to improve safety as well. Coming along nicely. That's about it.
Winding down on it all.
If you'll notice the bottom portion of it, it's going to be a metal building, but it's going to be dressed up a little bit with some stone down at the bottom of it. So it is going to be a metal building, but it's going to look a little nicer and a little dressed up. Yeah.
Long as folks remember. Got questions on any of that? Next, instructional program presentation. We have the high school foreign language.
Hello. Bonjour. Bonsoir. Hi. Good evening. I am Bree Uzel. This is my 26th year of teaching French here. There are 5 levels of French. We start in 8th grade, and if they are taking it in 8th grade, they can pursue it all the way through high school. The focus is on proficiency and self-assessment, and those are links. Can you click on proficiency? Ooh, look at that. Okay, so the proficiency, I have this in my classroom. I would ask if you could, I guess I can go. So let's talk cuts. That's cut. Everyone wants to say credit. There are levels that we use in the United States that are slightly different than what they use in Europe, but we call them American Council of Teachers of Foreign Language proficiency levels. Novice, intermediate, advanced, superior, farther up. And so there are 3 levels of novice. Novice low. If you're novice low, you're going to come up with just a list. Simple words. You look at something, you can give a couple words about it. And novice mid, who have some repetitive phrases. So here we had chocolate, and here we can have lots of chocolate, all right? Lots of fruit. Eat for breakfast, eat for dessert. Novice high, you can have simple sentences, and you're going to be missing some articles, you're going to be missing some prepositions, you're going to have the wrong preposition, maybe you have the verb conjugated incorrectly. And my point in talking to you about this and then having this in my classroom is because it's really important that the students understand that this growth is something that everyone does at a different level, and they're not going to take a whole year of a foreign language and suddenly be able to go to Paris and have a conversation with a random person on the street and be like, whoo, fluent. And that's kind of what our society thinks. And unfortunately, that's not the way our brains work, and that's okay. But my family eat cups often because we like cups. My mom makes cups, very good, which obviously is not quite right, but they see this and they're like, oh, I get it. It's pretty cool. So we can go on, but that's all we need there. How do I get back? Over here. Okay. And then over our curricular writing last summer, I do that all the time. I created a couple of documents that are intended for students to self-assess. I've done this with all my levels so far, one time, and I think that with the 2nd through the 5th level, it was both effective and helpful for them and for me, so that I can see where they feel like they are, and they can sit and talk to themselves about, reflect upon, I can do this, or I don't feel like I can do this well yet. And so there are, first of all, can I click that?
I kind of zoomed in on that.
Okay, so there's 3 levels of, this is the novice version, but there's 3 levels of novice, so this is probably like the novice mid, but it tells you down here, scale. It tells you down there, and it gives you a good idea of how to rank yourself at a 1. That's a beginning level. I can't do this yet, or I have to have someone helping me through that. Now, a number 2 would be, it's really not going to let us go there.
What if you hit the novice mailing down arrow?
Well, it's going to take you to the next grouping. It's okay. So there's 4 levels, and the goal is to get them to a 3. Is for each level, and then once they've shown me evidence that they have made it, we can find them a couple of pieces of things that we do in class that they can show that there's evidence that they are there, then we're going to give them, the next time we do the assessment, self-assessment, is going to be at the next level. And I think it really helps the students reflect on where they are and how confident they feel in what they're learning. And it was, I'm excited so far. It seems to be doing well. So, all right, and then click to the next slide. Okay, so in French, there's 5 levels. So in French 1, students begin their linguistic study with very simple foundations of thematic vocabulary, basic grammar knowledge. We learn verbs, all that kind of fun stuff. And each chapter focuses on a different aspect of the French-speaking world, because in the French is spoken on 5 continents, so we do talk about a very large variety of things. Next slide. French 2. Students continue to learn vocabulary, but they just kind of add upon that. So learning a language is not like learning different facts in history, because you really can, in some instances, learn about pieces of history without learning about the rest of history going on around it. But if you don't learn this way of conjugating verbs, you can't continue. So they get a little bit more in depth. And then on the next slide, there's links, but again, no video, so fingers crossed. It's because it's your birthday.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday.
It's my honorary birthday. My actual birthday is December 30th, but I never get to celebrate with my friends at school, so they let me celebrate this week.
So in French 3, you got all excited. In French 3, students can earn 3 college credits through St. Louis University. And the first semester ends with an electronic portfolio study of a French-speaking country in Africa. And this is a former student's work. So all of these are like links. They link to the slides. It's all in French. They have to present it to the class. They have to swoosh it down, because I tell them if they talk more than 4 minutes, it's going to be like the Gong Show, and they're going to get like smoothed off. And they look at me funny, and I'm like, I'm serious. You need to learn how to do a presentation. And so it's a lot of fun, and then they get to try some food, which is always the best part of everything. And then my favorite part of the school year is the 4th quarter, when we start reading The Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And I mean, I've done this will be 26 years, and it truly is my favorite part of the year. So, next slide. French 4, students can also earn 3 hours of college credit in the fall semester and 3 hours of college credit in the spring semester until 2028, when we're going to stretch that out a little bit more and allow the French 3, French 4, and French 5 students to earn like 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, I'd like to offer the kids who have stayed with it for 5 years more than just, you're having an awesome class. And 2, in general, the requirement in 4-year universities, if you're not majoring in languages, 2 classes, so they're getting their credits. So in the 2nd quarter, the students study a key historical era in France. In even years, it is World War II. This is an odd year, and we have just finished up our study of the Enlightenment, where they have read excerpts from many different primary texts, which is pretty cool for me to let them see. First of all, it's 18th century writing, and that, I don't know if you've ever tried that, is really interesting. But also, we're reading about the foundational ideas for our Constitution as well, so we make connections, and that's fun. In the fourth quarter, depending on if they've studied the Enlightenment or if they've studied World War II, they either read Rhinoceros, which is a theater of the absurd play from the early 1950s, and this year they will be reading Voltaire's Candide, which is always fun. And they don't know who Mark Twain is anymore, so I keep making references to how Voltaire is like the Mark Twain of the 18th century, and they're like, I think I've heard that name. Okay. I know. In French 5, this class is student designed and driven. Some units are definitely included, and others are perhaps included. Students will study perception, the senses, the Orla trilogy of short stories from the 19th century writer de Maupassant, and on the first day of class, they take an interest inventory survey. For the past 3 years I've done this, and I think it works really well because it allows us to make the class work for what they want it to. And so they could study business, and in France and French businesses in America, they could study beauty and the arts. This year, the student is very interested in dance and art, and so we spent about a month and a half studying what it means to be beautiful and what music is and what art is and what dance is. And of course we had to bring in Louis XIV because he kind of invented our modern ballet, because he was all that and a bag of chips. And they can study nation and identity in both France and Morocco, the origin of modern rights. And then they create these really cool presentations in each of the units. So, you've already got that. So this is one from a few years ago, and it is a presentation about other beings, because our perception, our senses. I love this because we get to kind of dig into fun things, and so she talked about what could possibly be out there, and she was really into art too, so a lot of that comes from that. And the second link is a recent graduate who might have a relative in here right now. It's this one. It is a video. Okay, so it might not work, but it is a video created by a graduate last year. About the first reading that they had. And so she created a video with all the graphics behind her, and she's speaking in French. So we'll just pretend like it works. Video doesn't work tonight, so it's all good. And then there's 2 more slides for me. Sorry. All right. French Club is open to any student who's ever taken a French course, and I mostly do that because I would really, really like to know who's coming, like to know who they are. And they meet every other month during high school club day, take a deeper dive into French culture. This year, the students, the French 3-4 class comes up with the agenda for our French club meetings. And so this year they chose to make Moroccan lanterns, which is the big picture. And then Christmas time, how do you not study Yule log cakes, bûche de Noël? They create their own. So this is one creation. Some of them were as artistic as mine would be. But those 2 on the left are the bûche de Noël from the Bon Boucher in Freeport. So they are actual Yule log cakes. And students choose whether to join, and they choose whether to be involved in the activity based on what we're doing, so that hopefully they enjoy what you spend. And then the last slide is something I'm very, very excited about. This is brand new this year. The Société Universitaire de Français, the French Honor Society. This is the first year for it. 9 students qualified and were inducted in September. Students are required to volunteer 5 hours of service for French-based groups or places in our community. And so I have reached out. There are 4 different organizations that are French-based in our community, and I've reached out and I've made them a spreadsheet of activities for each month. One student has already fulfilled her 5 hours. A couple are on their way, and well, they're all on their way, but a couple are almost there. And seniors can graduate with honor cords. This is a national society. This is not something that I just made up, which is, you know, that would be fun too, but not nearly as fun as actually, this is something that we have to follow the organizational rules. And members can qualify for national scholarships and international scholarships. And there are activities or camps that they can also qualify for. Yeah, so very excited. And this is, we're in our infancy, so baby steps, but we're getting there. And merci beaucoup. I'm going to pass it on to an amazing colleague. Choose one. Yes.
How many are French?
This year, 1. Last year, 2. 2 years before that, 5. It really depends.
And is it really pre-core, or are you using those in 2?
It should be Cacreve, but you know what? It's St. Louis, and you can't argue with them.
Great job, Ms. Giselle. Mrs. Cava, Teresa Cava, this is my 7th year at St. Jen, which I can't believe that, but it's been 7 years. I'm starting my 7th year. I teach Spanish, Español, and there are 5 levels. I wanted to show this picture because we are doing a little bit more focus on culture from the different countries. I was raised in Guatemala, but I believe that, you know, it's good for them to know my country, but also incorporate more of the countries in South America. They had no idea that in Africa, they have a Spanish-speaking country. 60% of the population actually speaks Spanish. And they were like, what? We're in Africa too? I said, oh yeah, we're there. We're there. We're everywhere. If you be so kind as nothing apart. We have 5 levels of Spanish. Just like French, we begin at the A3 level. We focus on the skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Specifically, I really want the kids to notice that the listening part, a lot of them tell me, I can understand you, but when I speak, I cannot speak. You know, but I can understand you. So we are focusing a lot on that listening part. And this is just a picture of Tikal, which is in Mexico, but it's also in Guatemala. We are focusing on cultural places, monuments, and such in different countries of the Spanish-speaking countries. Spanish 1, we focus on basic vocabulary, greetings, numbers, essential phrases. I wanted to do a video, but I remember this when I did this last time. That video did not work. I was like, I had a feeling this was going to happen, so to save everybody and myself a little bit of embarrassment, I said, well, let me just show you. And yet, in the last couple of years, I think Kennedy was here, and so she was kind enough to come, and she was showing me some of the phrases. And but we really focus, and I know Dr. Boyd knows this, and some of Dr. Mercer probably, and anybody who comes to the classroom, we focus also on the part of the customs that we have in Latin America is just very gracious people, very gracious, very appreciative, very respectful. So as people come in the classroom, they all stand up, you know, we say good morning, good afternoon. It takes them a while, but we get them going. Conversation techniques, we do a lot of asking and answering questions. We do simple things like, how are you, ¿cómo estás, ¿cómo te llamas, things that they will have to know eventually. We do, ¿dónde está el baño, where is the bathroom? Because they always tell me, why do you say that? I said, well, they have to say things like that. So daily things that we use. Spanish 1 is a lot of fun. I love Spanish 1. It's just, you have the kids coming into the culture for the first time. Some of them have prior knowledge, but just to see their faces light up and how they just are glued. They want to know more. So I really wanted to focus on different countries. So we separated on the countries of Central America and Mexico, in the Caribbean. Sorry. We do focus on that just in Spanish 1. And then we go to Spanish 2, and then we continue with the building of the language skills, learning Spanish that we learn in Spanish 1. We immerse more into the vocabulary, kind of get them a little more, using words that are more relatable, but also something that they know it's a little harder than was in Spanish 1. We focus on South American countries. They actually learn some of the geography, and they also are very shocked that Brazil does not speak Spanish. But they speak Portuguese. We're very, very similar, but it's not Spanish. I also bring the cultural part. We have somebody from Chile, and he has become very, very attached to the kids. They really enjoy talking to him, and he has brought a lot of the cultural part, which is really awesome. Spanish 3, we built, just like in Spanish 1, we build more vocabulary, but this time they are now using a little more than they did in Spanish 1. They're more, they are able to talk more. They have routines that they do daily. They have to kind of say, okay, what did you do today? I got up this morning, I brushed my teeth. You know, they are able to say those, and we call those the reflexive verbs, and they are able to use those a little bit easier than they did in Spanish 2 when we started that. They start to do dictation, which basically I will talk to them, and then they will write whatever I said, and then they will need to translate it, so that they are able to kind of say, because sometimes you might say, ¿Cómo estás? And they'll respond beautifully. And then I said, what did I just say? What did I just ask you? I don't know. So I'm like, okay, we got to work on that. We have to know that. So the other thing is reading books. We're reading right now Esperanza, which is the start of a novel where they are starting to see the vocabulary learn in Spanish 1 and 2, and now they're starting to understand. And I tell them, you gotta clap, to yourself, because you just read a chapter in Espanol. That is amazing. Remember Spanish 1, now you're in Spanish 3, so they're able to see how they're growing, which is really awesome. Spanish 4 is more on the consistency of reading, also accuracy. This is where I tell them we really need to focus now on your speech and make sure that we're talking correctly, we are pronouncing the words correctly, we are able to translate things, write things a lot better with the verb usage. We call the part of the research that we do is now with the 2 countries of Spain, but specifically Guinea Equatorial, which is the African country. They're amazed all the things they're finding out. So this is what we're going to be starting next semester. And then Spanish 5, I have Sophie Garcia, who's coming back, I believe, this month on the 23rd, I think. She's going to come back, and she hopes to take Spanish 5, so she'll be my Spanish 5. She actually was in Chile for a whole year. So, and I have talked to her through a WhatsApp, which is a phone that is free that you can use in Spanish. Guys, I'm super amazed that she and I can speak fluently. Super amazed to see this. But when she comes back, we'll talk more about what research we're going to do, but I specifically like to focus on the current events and issues happening, which immigration is a huge one right now, and poverty, huge. Some of the impacts of human rights in Hispanic communities. Spanish Club. So, Bree knows this, I'm doing Women of the Word Club. I used to do Spanish Club only, and I was able to bring a lot more kids, but I feel like Spanish 1, I'm gonna focus just on them this year instead and see how it goes. So they did this project, it's called Dia de los Muertos, which is Day of the Dead, and they brought people that were, and I know these are young kids, but they're people that have passed away, and honor them because it's a big celebration, and especially in Mexico. And then some of them didn't have anybody that passed away, which I was like, okay, well, that's good. So they said, can we bring a pet? I said, sure. I mean, they're like a family. So we did that, and they really enjoyed that part of the Spanish Club. We also like songs and games that are in the Hispanic culture, and I'm surprised some of them love to sing, and they're good singers. So that makes me very happy. So we look forward to what's going to happen next semester. And this is just some students enjoy Spanish culture. The first one we had Mrs. Stingray. She came, she went to Spain this past summer, and she wanted to come and talk to the class and her experience there. And they were very, very into it. They asked a lot of questions. This is Agustin, as you can tell, all the girls. But we were trying things that are like quesadillas. He's not really into that stuff too much, but he eats all kinds of things, so they wanted to know what he liked. And he said, somebody made this very spicy. Because of the word spicy, they were good. And this is my other Spanish 1 class. We made worry dolls, and some of them keep them under their pillow. I mean, they said that if we put under a worry doll under your pillow, your problems disappear the next day. But I said, okay, you can believe that. That would be great. And that is it. Muchas gracias.
Not only do we have two amazing hopefully that they teach us, but we have the best teachers. Ladies, you did not hear me. I think we're the best teachers.
All right, moving on to insurance. All right, music, property liability, or comp insurance.
This is not a fun topic to talk about. It hasn't been for about 3 years. Our assessment has gone up over the past 3 years, 83.7%. You can see in 2023, our net assessment was $277,000. This year, our net assessment is $578,000, $300,000 increase. There's a variety of reasons for that. The main one being the number of storms that has occurred in Missouri, and we can just go to our friends to the south of us in Perryville and think about the tornado that devastated their school. They're still working through that process. Ourselves, we had hail damage. Our entire roofing system is in the process of being completely replaced. So the number of storms and the severity of storms have contributed to this significantly. My hope is that this calms down some, because we can't continue to see these increases. The MAAA has inquired to other insurance agencies and to see if they're interested. Music has the majority of schools in the state of Missouri, but there are other entities out there that are interested in perhaps entering into this space. So we partnered with one of those and sent them a bunch of information, came back based on the number of claims that we've had. Our roofing claim kicked us out of them even bidding us. So that assessment is up $300,000, another 22.5% this year. I'm hopeful that it calms down, but given the last 3 years, I'm not sure that we're there quite yet.
You believe music, we can't come back for 3 years?
Yeah, specifics with the audit with you, and was hopeful that they wouldn't have to do any additional investigation when the specifics came out. He was correct, and we were able to get signatures, get the last documents finalized, which are basically the letters from him. That audit has not changed since last month, so it's just here for your approval this month.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the final audit report for the fiscal year 2025 as presented.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And board member resignation.
Unfortunately, this has been going on for a long time. And I know Mr. Bova has moved into a position that he is highly sought after, and we should congratulate him on that move. Unfortunately,
we might be losing him as probably one of the best board members I've worked with. But our city has gained the best
Absolutely.
city administrator. Sure.
He's not going away.
No.
He's just moving into a different capacity. We hate to see him go, but it is one of the consequences. So Mr. Bova has tendered his letter of resignation. Board policy BEE 1 identifies a school board vacancy in this case, that the vice president will be appointed to the presidency position. Mr. Bosler said he's willing to do that till our April election. So after this meeting, he will move into the presidency, and then we're on to, well, I don't want to take over for you. We will need to elect a new vice president since Mr. Bosler is moving into the president position.
I'd like to nominate Josh
Wait,
Kennedy.
we gotta accept this.
Oh, yeah, we do have to accept his. Sorry.
No, we don't. No.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah, because I was gonna.
Let's get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Mr. David Bova as board president, effective immediately, and as a school board member effective December 31st, 2025, to declare the resulting vacancy in the office of board president, and to appoint Mr. Eric Bosler to serve as interim board president to serve until the next reorganization of the board.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I got a few things to say.
Do we want to do the vice president?
You can.
We have, oh, here. Give me 1 second, okay.
I'll just quickly say thank you. Dave. It's great being a vice president. I don't think I ever had a run a meeting until tonight. So I stumbled through it, but I'm glad to serve as president. So everybody knows me. I know how to get a hold of me. I'm approachable. I'm for St. Jed, and we'll do a good job. So thank you, Dave. Now
I think he needs to say
we
something.
need a vice president. So would anybody like to make?
I'd like to nominate Josh Kennedy.
Okay. We have a motion and a second.
Oh, it says no second either.
Okay.
Is that right?
So it's a motion. I guess if I could read that. Unless, are there any other motions? Somebody could read that. That's audible.
Okay.
Good, Tom, please.
Motion that, oh, so I'm making a motion for this. Motion that nominations cease and we elect by acclamation Josh Gettinger as the vice president of the St. Genevieve County RG Board of Education.
Okay. This was 5 pages, and I shortened it. And it's probably beyond 4 minutes, so I'm sorry.
You're okay. No, right. Oh, so sorry.
Don't
You're
be.
not in my classroom. We're good.
That's right.
You don't have a video, do you?
No, I do not have a video. Before we adjourn this evening, I'm going to have to click a pin during this, so just bear with me. I'd like to take a few minutes to reflect on my time on the board, thank some people. I'll try to keep it brief, but no guarantees. Bear with me. Keep in mind, after tonight, you won't have to worry about me ever getting on the soapbox again, but I suppose the podium is always available, so maybe I'll come back. First, I want to thank some important people. When I decided to sign up and run 15 years ago, I went and spoke with 2 people, Mike Stewart and Terry McDaniel. They both encouraged me to run and explained to me the good and difficult parts involved with being a member of the board. The good I've experienced has been even more ever more than they described, and has more than outweighed the difficult. While there are many moments I've cherished over these 14 years, the top of the list is being able to hand that green and white diploma to my daughters. Didn't take long. One of the first questions Mike and Terry asked me, and one of the first questions I ask others who decide to run is, why are you running for school board? My answers to that question has always started with, I received a stellar education here and had such a wonderful experience when I attended school in these buildings, and I want my daughters and everyone's daughters. You know, I practice this at home to receive the same. Mike and Terry gave me words of wisdom through the process, and I can't thank either of them enough. Mike Stewart devoted years to building this district into what it is today, and I'm very proud that a very tiny millisecond of that time was devoted to providing encouragement to me. I hope this wasn't for me, because you're just going to get a bunch of stuttering. The district sits on a foundation of strong pillars, and Mike Stewart is one of those pillars. Just as important to me personally, and just as invested in the green and white, is Mr. Terry McDaniel. I gotta walk around. If he wasn't your teacher, your principal, your coach, or your friend at some point over the past few decades, then you're missing out. Terry McDaniel is the epitome of what it means to bleed green. He's a St. John Dragon through and through, and the fact that he is part of my story here at St. John couldn't make me prouder. Thank you also to another very important influence on my board membership and the development of this board over the past 30 years, Mrs. Martha Riesinger. I'm working, folks, I'm working. Martha has encouraged and mentored me from my first year on the board and through the present day. For those who don't know, Martha has not only helped guide this board for over 30 years, but also helps guide the Missouri School Boards Association. St. Genevieve School District leads the state in many ways: academics, athletics, staff, administration, facilities, and so much more. But one of the ways we also lead is through governance. The Board of Education is one of the best boards in the state, regularly recognized for their governance and guidance, and none of that is possible without Martha's leadership. Thank you, Martha, for guiding and encouraging me, and most of all, for all you do for the district. Thank you also to the entire board, those here today and those no longer on the board. I've learned many things being a part of St. John R2, but one of the most important things is that a board is only successful stewarding an organization if it does 2 things. 1, pick the right leader. We'll come back to that. And 2, work together. This board and its members don't all share the same backgrounds, experiences, or even the same opinions about all the topics we discuss. But we all, each and every one of us, work together through our differences, through our challenging situations to guide this district with one thing at the core of every decision: what is best for kids. Not just our own kids and grandkids, but the community's children. all kids, no matter their ability or disability, no matter their needs, no matter their past, no matter who they are, our doors are open to every single child that wants to walk through them. And once you do, you're a St. John Dragon. You're a part of the green and white. And these board members sitting with me here tonight take the time and put in the effort to make sure it stays that way. God bless America. And absolutely always will. Thank you all so very much. Earlier, I spoke about the board picking the right leader. I can't begin to end my thank yous without thanking our leadership. I've already thanked Michael Stewart, but I also want to thank Mrs. Shelley Oldham, Dr. Jeff Lindsay, Dr. Julie Fleet, Dr. Paul Taylor, and all of our district administrators. I want to personally thank the two superintendents who have held that job while I've been board president, Dr. Julie Fleet and Dr. Paul Taylor. Thank you for putting up with me, my constant questions, probing, and even prodding sometimes. Both Julie and Paul have been a true pleasure to work with and support these last 7 years. Paul, thank you for your friendship. For your guidance and understanding when making tough decisions. And for letting me pin your ears so many times, not only as board president, but also as a parent and friend. I'm sorry.
Don't be. Not at all.
I have truly valued that time, and I hope I'll still be able to drop by district office and chat with you. Also, thank you to the citizens of St. Genevieve who have entrusted me with being a part of this board for 5 terms in a row. I have valued your support and encouragement. It has not always been an easy assignment, but I promise you that I've tried to represent all citizens as best I could. There were so many shining moments, like handing my 2 youngest daughters their diploma, but there were others, like honors banquets, reading to kids, Veterans Day celebrations, preschool graduations, watching our teachers wave goodbye to kids on the last day of school, and of course, seeing our academic results within the state of Missouri. We have been rated in the top 10% of districts in the state and in the nation and continue to excel, all while having one of the lowest, it's going to get real now, one of the lowest tax rates in southeast Missouri. I have to share some financial information before I go. When I joined the board in 2012, our tax rate was $3.28.92 per $100 assessed valuation. This year it is $3.40.55, an increase of 3.5% over 14 years. Over that same period, U.S. inflation has risen 41%. That's a 3.5% increase instead of a 41% increase, and is in large part because of conservative budgeting and strong leadership. Of course, everyone, taxpayers, staff, and students should understand that your taxes could be even lower if our local industrial mining companies would stop challenging their tax bills and pay their property taxes just like the rest of us do. If that would happen, there is a strong possibility that everyone's tax rate, including those very same companies, could go from $3.40 to $2.75. So I ask citizens, pay attention to local news, not to Facebook or Instagram or whatever national news channel you might be watching. Pay attention to your local elected officials. Your school board, your hospital board, your city and county councils, and others. These are the people in the thick of it dealing with rising costs and increasing state and federal mandates, while state and federal officials continue to make cuts to local support. I'm on my soapbox again, but only for a moment. Please keep in mind the power of your vote, and I thank all of you again for your vote and your confidence this past 14 years. Last page. I want to wrap up on a positive note, but before I tell you, I want to be clear. Public education has been and is under attack from school choice advocates, from rich lobbying firms,
from big dark money donors and others. Why, you ask? Is it because public ed is failing? No. 100% no, 100% no. Not here in St. Genevieve and not in the state of Missouri. It's because public education is the largest part of the state's general revenue budget, and greedy people want to get their hands on that money. Period. Those local tax dollars that are yours and mine and belong to local public schools. But those big dollar lobbyists and dark money donors want you to think otherwise. They want you to think that public schools aren't doing a good job, that teachers don't value parents' opinions, and that districts are indoctrinating kids. This is all a bunch of crap. What you don't hear on the news unless you talk to teachers or follow your local school on social media or attend a local school board meeting is that public schools and school teachers are 1,000% working harder than ever that they've had to teach our kids and help raise our kids. I want to share just one story that occurred recently. In one classroom, a teacher was rewarding students for positive behaviors, and students could redeem those points for special prizes. One student was asked what he'd like and responded, "A turkey for my family for Thanksgiving." Suffice to say, a turkey wasn't on the available classroom prize list. But the student persisted, so the teacher reached out to Mom and asked about Thanksgiving. Mom shared that yes, she was struggling a bit, but they would get by. That teacher contacted another teacher and another teacher who contacted a local business, and together they all paid for a turkey and had it prepared for the student's family. Never made the news, and honestly, it shouldn't have. That's not what it's about. But those are the things that are happening. There are so many more stories like this that you never hear unless you make an effort. Teachers, administrators, nurses, secretaries, janitors, cooks, bus drivers, and many more are working hard to help parents raise wonderful children who will become contributing members of our community. That is what is truly happening in buildings throughout the nation, particularly here at St. Genevieve. If you know a teacher, just ask him or her, or better yet, go visit or volunteer at a school and see for yourself. Last thing, I want to thank my family, my wife Julie, my daughters Kara, Allison, and Alexis, and my granddaughter, not great yet, granddaughter Autumn. Their love and support mean the world to me. Julie has always supported my decision to run for the board and always listens when I need to vent for a bit. She is my rock, and I couldn't have been here for 14 years without her. You know, our motto here at St. Jim is family, tradition, excellence. Almost done. And my own family has always been priority one for me, just as the St. John R2 family has been priority one for me in this community. This community and this school district hold a special place in my heart. Just like walking in the front door at home always feels good, so does a walk in those hallways. They hold a lot of memories and have always, just like home. And I hope that will continue in the future, especially now that one of my own family, my daughter Alexis, is in her first year teaching here. My grandfather, grandmother, aunt, and uncle all worked in these buildings, well, not this one, but those, in the 1970s and 80s, and I think that is where my love of the green and white began. I was always proud of my family back then, just as I am now, and I'm confident and excited that as I step down from the board, not only do I still have family working here, but I hope myself to remain a part of this family, the green and white, forever. Last sentence. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to serve on this board. I will forever be grateful, and I will certainly forever be the St. Jim Dragon. Loyal and true. Sorry you had to put up with that. It's great. Oh, you're a rock star, Bailey. I do apologize. I've practiced and practiced and practiced, and it was long, meant for a few years, but those were important people to me, and you all are important, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve, particularly with these folks. And these folks, very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. We brought professionalism, we brought kindness, we brought everything. Back to you here. So, we're grateful for that. We're grateful.
Thank you.
A true leader.
Huh?
A true leader.
Yeah, thanks for the Facebook message about 4 years ago. Said, hey, I just asked you a question. I went to school with my daughter went to school with your sister Cameron. Can I call you? I'm like, I don't know.
It's been wonderful, you know, and don't forget the folks that, like, I'm going to forget one, so that's going to be bad. Rick Rudolph, Charlie Crowther, of course, Terry, Joan Donzie, Joan Hook, I'm sorry. She'll appreciate that. I speak in maiden. Well, that's not even her maiden name. I'll be quiet. Many, a wonderful person has served on this board, and I'm sure many more will. And I could just keep talking. I'm going to have to stop. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn, wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you all. Enjoy your time with your families. And 2 more days of school, right? No, 3
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn the open session of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the St. Genevieve County R2 School District.
Motion and a second. Let's see, we do roll call. Jeannie Blue.
Yes.
Josh Gettinger. Yes. Eric Bosler, yes. Jerry Diesel.
Yes.
Martha Riesinger. Jim Kirschner.